I trained warlords, champions, and creatures that could tear steel apart with their bare hands. But the thing that broke my academy was not a monster, and not a super soldier. It was a smiling human with a wooden stick. Look, I have been training cadets at the Galactic Defense Academy for 17 cycles, and I truly believed I had seen everything worth seeing. I have watched Clovian warriors faint because of their own battle smell. I have seen Zenther cadets accidentally teleport into the recycling system and return covered in glue and shame. I once witnessed a mother cadet try to eat his own plasma rifle because, and I quote, "it smelled delicious." I have dealt with training accidents, pride fights, budget cuts, broken floors, and the kind of paperwork that makes you question the point of existence. But nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, prepared me for the day a human walked into my combat arena with a grin and a piece of wood. My name is Vexer. I run the most elite combat training program in this sector of the galaxy. When I say elite, I mean the kind of program that produces the soldiers other academies whisper about when the lights are off.
Us.
My forearms are not decorations. They are tools for discipline, precision, and, when necessary, dramatic gesturing to explain exactly how a cadet has failed in a way that should be scientifically impossible. My exoskeleton is polished so well that it reflects the overhead lights like a warning sign. My mandibles click with the authority of someone who has earned every scar on his carapace through real combat, not classroom drills. My reputation was flawless, clean, and sharp, like a new blade. Or at least it was, until that particular morning. "Cadets," I announced, standing in the center of my arena with the kind of posture that says, "I am in charge, and you are not." Today we continue advanced plasma combat techniques. Those of you who survived last week's assessment know what to expect. Those of you who did not survive, well, you are not here, so that answers that question. A few nervous laughs move through the group, the small, shaky kind of laughter that tells me the message landed properly. Good. Fear is an excellent motivator. It is right behind hunger and just ahead of the threat of public humiliation. I had 47 cadets standing before me that day, 47 of the finest specimens from 23 different species, Thoraxians built like mobile fortresses, with muscles that look like they were designed by angry engineers. Aquinon twins with reflexes that border on precognition, the kind of reflexes that make you wonder if they see the future or if they simply refuse to lose. A few relic cadets from species that had been conquering star systems while humans were still arguing with fire, even a couple of Cruvians who treat pain like a hobby. It was an impressive lineup, and I was proud of it. And then she walked in late, human smiling. My mandibles clicked together in that specific rhythm that everyone in my program has learned. Means someone is about to have a very bad day, I said, and I stretched that sound out until it became a long, sharp point of sarcasm. The human has arrived. How delightful. Tell me, Cadet Cade, do your people have a cultural tradition around being punctual, or is lateness considered a survival strategy on your homeworld? She stopped a few meters away from me, still smiling like she had just been invited to a party. "Traffic was terrible, sir," she said. 3 gravitational anomalies and a spatial rift. You know how it is? I heard several cadets make sounds that might have been laughs or might have been choking. With some species, it is honestly difficult to tell the difference. My mandibles clicked faster. My irritation was building like pressure behind a sealed door. "I see," I said. "Traffic. How very human of you. Tell me, did your fragile bones survive the journey intact? Or should we schedule your medical retirement now and save everyone?" The time. "Bones are good, sir," she replied, cheerful and calm. "Fragile, sure, but good." That answer did something unpleasant to my temper. Humans, I decided in that moment, must have some kind of neurological issue that prevents them from recognizing danger. Either that or she was the bravest fool I had ever seen. From the back row, Krovik let out a snort. He was Thoraxian, built like someone took a small building, compressed it into a vaguely humanoid shape, and then gave it anger issues. "She will break in the first drill," he muttered loudly. "I give her 4 minutes maximum, Sella." One of the Aquinon twins, whose pale blue skin was shimmering with amusement, leaned toward her sister and said, "Loud enough for everyone to hear, I give her 2. I raised one hand, the upper right one, because it has the most authority, and I silenced the chatter. My eyes, all 3 of them, fixed on the human cadet with the intensity I usually reserve for equipment failures and bad paperwork. "Well then," I said, "Cadet Cade, since you have so graciously decided to join us, perhaps you would like to begin your weapons assessment immediately. No need to waste anyone's time with pleasantries or adequate preparation." Smile still did not move. "Ready when you are, sir." "Standing," I said, and I let my mandibles curve into what I have been told resembles a smile. Though most species describe it as the face of approaching doom, this should be memorable. The time I meant it as a threat. I did not realize it was going to be a prophecy. I gestured toward the equipment alcove with 2 arms. The universal signal for "go get your weapon and prepare to embarrass yourself, Cadet Cade. You will select a standard plasma rifle from the armory. Try not to drop it. I understand human grip strength is somewhat, how do I put this delicately, pathetic." Riley Cade nodded and walked toward the alcove, where Supply Officer Quell was supposed to be managing weapon distribution. Quell was a Brintock, which meant he had approximately 7 brain cells, and on a good day, maybe 4 of them were working. At the same time, he had gotten this job through what I can only assume was a clerical error of cosmic proportions. I watched Riley approach the weapon racks. I also watched Quell's face, or the collection of facial flaps that Brintex call. A face twist into confusion. "Problem, Supply Officer." I called out because I could already feel a migraine forming behind my primary eye. "Trainer Vexer." "Sir," Quell's voice came back, wavering like he was confessing to a murder. "We have a, situation with the plasma rifles." "Situation," I repeated slowly, letting my mandibles click in that dangerous rhythm. "Please enlighten us." "The entire batch is showing critical failures in the ignition core, sir," Quell said. "Safety protocols locked down all 47 units. Something about a faulty shipment from the Zenturi manufacturing facility. There was a memo, but I thought it was spam." I closed all 3 eyes and counted to 10 in 4 different languages, because if I did not, I might have used Quell as a training dummy. "So," I said, opening my eyes again, "you are telling me right now?" "In front of my entire class, that we have no functional plasma rifles for today's assessment." "Correct, sir?" Quell squeaked. "Very, very correct, sir." The arena went silent. Even the cadets, who had been whispering bets about how quickly the human would fail, stopped talking.
Ouch!
This was not just inconvenient. This was the kind of bureaucratic disaster that destroys schedules, and schedules are sacred. "Fine," I said, "because I am nothing if not adaptable. Cadet Cade, you will use a plasma pistol instead." Surely even Quell's incompetence has not extended to every weapon system in this facility. There was a pause. A long pause. The kind of pause that feels like the universe is holding its breath just to watch you suffer. "About that," Sfur Quell said, and I swear I felt one of my internal organs try to escape my body. "The pistols are from the same batch, same manufacturer, same faulty cores. Also locked down." I stared at him. Then I stared at Riley. Then I stared at the weapon racks, as if new rifles might grow out of them if I glared hard enough. "Then what?" I asked very carefully. "Exactly do you propose Cadet Cade use for her combat assessment?" Quell disappeared. Into the back of the supply room? I heard rummaging. I heard cursing in Brinto, which sounds like gargling gravel. Then he came back holding something that made every cadet in the arena freeze. It was a stick. A wooden stick. Actual wood. It's from an actual tree. About 1 meter long. Slightly worn grip on one end. Quell held it out like it was a sacred relic. "This was in the museum wing, sir," he said. "Ancient Earth Martial Arts Collection. It is called a, he checked a small data pad. A bow staff. Well, a short one. The label says training stick." I stared at the stick. Then at Quell. Then at Riley, who was now looking at the wooden stick, with an expression I could not read. "You cannot be serious," I said. "It is a weapon, sir," Quell replied. With the confidence of someone who had already accepted that this day could not possibly get worse for him, I turned to Riley, expecting protests, complaints, maybe even tears. Humans were emotional creatures. Everyone knew that. Surely she would refuse this absurdity. She picked up the stick. She tested the weight. She spun it once in her hand with smooth, surprising control. Then she looked at me and smiled. "This works," she said. The arena exploded into laughter. Krovik was actually wheezing. Sella and her twin Mora were holding each other up, their skin flashing through colors I had never seen before. Even some of my more disciplined cadets were fighting to stay serious. I felt my mandibles lock in pure disbelief. "You were telling me," I said. "You will face a combat assessment in my arena against armed opponents with plasma weapons." "Using a wooden stick?" "Yes, sir," Riley said calmly. "Unless that is a problem?" "Problem?" She asked if it was a problem. I looked. "At the stick?" I looked at her, and looked at the laughing cadets already placing new bets. And I made a decision that I would regret for the rest of my life. No problem at all. "Cadet Cade," I said, my voice dripping with enough sarcasm to corrode whole plating. "Let us see what humanity's primitive weapons can accomplish against modern galactic warfare. This should be educational for everyone involved." I had no idea how right I was about that. I decided that if this human wanted to humiliate herself with a piece of wood, I would give her the full experience. "Cadet Krovik," I called. And the Thoraxian stepped forward with the kind of confidence that comes from being almost indestructible. "You will be Cadet Cade's opponent for this assessment." Kravik's face, which looked like someone carved it from granite and then gave up halfway through, split into what his species considered a grin. "It would be my honor. Trainer Vexer. Honor. Right." He just wanted to show off. "Standard. Combat assessment rules," I announced as I walked to the edge of the arena, and the other cadets pressed against the safety barriers. First, to disarm their opponent or render them unable to continue, wins. Lethal force is, as always, frowned upon. But accidents happen. Medical team is standing by. Begin when the indicator sounds. I configured the arena to basic mode. Open floor, no cover, nowhere to hide. I wanted this to be quick. The human would learn a lesson about respecting proper military equipment. Kravik would get his ego boost and we would move on with real training. Riley walked to one end of the arena, wooden stick held loosely in one hand. She rolled her shoulders, stretched her neck, and then settled into a stance that looked almost relaxed. Her feet were positioned at odd angles. Her weight was placed in a way that made no tactical sense to me. Krovik stomped to the opposite end. When I say stomped, I mean each step registered on the seismic sensors. He carried a top-tier plasma rifle, military grade, the kind that can punch through light armor. We checked the charge, verified the targeting system, and aimed directly at Riley's center mass. The betting reached fever pitch. Someone offered 3-to-1 odds that Riley would not last 5 seconds. Another cadet was taking bets on which body part would get hit first. The indicator sounded Krovik. Fired immediately, and Riley was not there anymore. I blinked, which is harder than it sounds when you have 3 eyes that do not always blink together. The plasma bolt scorched the floor where Riley had been standing a fraction of a second earlier. She had moved laterally, fast, low, angled. Kravik adjusted and fired again. Miss Riley was already moving. It's not running exactly, but flowing across the arena in patterns that looked random, yet somehow kept her just ahead of his targeting. "Stand still." Krovik growled, firing 3 more times. Riley did not stand still. She ducked under one shot, sidestepped another, and then did something that made me question whether humans secretly study physics from birth, or if they are just catastrophically lucky she did not block the plasma bolt, because that would have vaporized the wood instantly. She angled the stick, tilted her body, and the bolt glanced off the surface at just the right direction to miss her by centimeters. The wood did not even catch fire, because she moved it away too quickly. "What in the 17 hells?" I muttered. Krovik was getting frustrated. I could see it in the way his shots became less precise and more angry. Thoraxians are built for overwhelming force, not long engagements. Riley seemed to understand that better than I did. She kept moving. She kept forcing him to track her. She kept letting him fire and miss. Each shot drained his energy cell. Each miss made him sloppier. "Fight back, human," Krovik roared. Riley did not answer. She just moved, the wooden stick spinning sometimes in her hand, deflecting only when a bolt came too close, never stopping, never giving him a stable target. I checked the timer. 3 minutes had passed. Krovik's rifle was down to 40%. His breathing was heavier, which for a Thoraxian is almost unheard of. Then Riley changed tactics. She stopped retreating and started closing distance. But not in a straight line. She moved in angles using timing, momentum, small feints. 8, 6. Krovik fired at nearly point-blank range. Riley dropped into a slide that would make professional athletes jealous. The bolt passed over her. She came up inside his guard. The stick moved faster than my eyes could track. She did not strike his body. She struck his rifle. Not the barrel, not the mainframe. She hit the cooling vent on the left side. The tiny exposed port that allows heat to escape during sustained fire. The rifle made a sound like a dying whale, sparked twice and shut down. Krovik stood there holding an 8-kilogram paperweight, staring at it like it had personally betrayed him. Riley stood 3 feet away, stick resting on her shoulder, and she was not even breathing hard. "Do you yield?" she asked, polite as could be. Krovik looked at her, then at his dead rifle, then at me. "I yield," he said quietly. I swear his voice cracked. The arena went silent. No laughter, no whispers, just 46 cadets staring at Riley like she had sprouted wings and started reciting poetry in 17 languages. I felt my mandibles go slack. I started and then stopped, because my brain did not have words prepared for what I had just witnessed. Riley walked calmly to the edge, handed the stick back to Quell, who looked like his brain was trying to reboot, and then turned to face me. "What is next, sir?" she asked, still smiling. I should have stopped right there. I should have recognized what was happening. But my ego, combined with 17 cycles of never being wrong, made me do something catastrophically stupid. "Next," I said, my voice tight. "We see if that was luck or skill. You will face 2 opponents simultaneously. Let us see how your primitive wood performs then." The look Riley gave me should have been a warning. It was not fear. It was not concern. It was anticipation. I was not panicking. Let me be clear. Do not panic. I am a decorated combat instructor with 17 cycles of experience, 4 functional arms, and a reputation that has survived wars, academy budget cuts, and that one time a Matherian cadet accidentally set the entire West Wing on fire. I do not panic. I was, however, experiencing what one might call acute cognitive dissonance. That was luck, I announced to the cadets, using 3 of my forearms for emphasis because 2 did not seem sufficient. Pure statistically improbable. Luck. Cadet Krovik is excellent, but even excellent warriors have off days. What we witnessed was not skill, it was coincidence, meeting favorable circumstances. Krovik, still standing in the arena, looking at his dead rifle like it was a deceased family member, made a sound that might have been agreement or might have been suppressed trauma. "Hard to tell, sir," Mora said carefully. She hit the cooling vent. That target is the size of a credit chip. While moving, while being shot at, she stopped retreating and started closing distance, but not in a straight line. She moved in angles, using timing, momentum, small feints. 10 meters, 8-6. Krovik fired at nearly point-blank range. Riley dropped into a slide that would make professional athletes jealous. The bolt passed over her. She came up inside his guard. The stick moved faster than my eyes could track. She did not strike his body. She struck his rifle. Not the barrel, not the mainframe. She hit the cooling vent on the left side. The tiny exposed port that allows heat to escape during sustained fire. The rifle made a sound like a dying whale. Sparked twice and shut down. Krovik stood there holding an 8-kilogram paperweight, staring at it like it had personally betrayed him. Riley stood 3 feet away, stick resting on her shoulder, and she was not even breathing hard. "Do you yield?" she asked, polite as could be. Kravik looked at her, then at his dead rifle, then at me. "I yield," he said quietly. I swear his voice cracked. The arena went silent, no laughter, no whispers. Just 46 cadets staring at Riley like she had sprouted wings and started reciting poetry in 17 languages. I felt my mandibles go slack. I started and then stopped. Because my brain did not have words prepared for what I had just witnessed. Riley walked calmly to the edge, handed the stick back to Quell, who looked like his brain was trying to reboot, and then turned to face me. "What is next, sir?" she asked, still smiling. I should have stopped right there. I should have recognized what was happening. But my ego, combined with 17 cycles of never being wrong, made me do something catastrophically stupid. "Next," I said, my voice tight. "We see if that was luck or skill. You will face 2 opponents simultaneously. Let us see how. Your primitive wood performs then." The look Riley gave me should have been a warning. It was not fear. It was not concern. It was anticipation. I was not panicking. Let me be clear. I do not panic. I am a decorated combat instructor with 17 cycles of experience, 4 functional arms, and a reputation that has survived wars, academy budget cuts, and that one time a Matherian cadet accidentally set the entire West Wing on fire. I do not panic. I was, however, experiencing what one might call acute cognitive dissonance. That was luck. I announced to the cadets, using 3 of my 4 arms for emphasis, because 2 did not seem sufficient. Pure, statistically improbable luck. Cadet Kravik is excellent, but even excellent warriors have off days. What we witnessed was not skill. It was coincidence meeting favorable circumstances. Kravik, still standing in the arena, looking at his dead rifle like it was a deceased family member, made a sound that might have been agreement or might have been suppressed trauma. "Hard to tell, sir," Mora said carefully. She hit the cooling vent. "That target is the size of a credit chip. While moving, while being shot at, I felt confidence return. 2 expert marksmen with overlapping fire against 1 human with a stick. The universe was about to correct itself. Riley stood in the center, rotating slowly, tracking both opponents with her eyes. The stick rested across her shoulders, her arms draped over it in a posture that looked almost casual. Sella fired. First, Riley moved, but not away. She moved toward the shot, angled her body, and used a barrier as a pivot. The plasma bolt hit the barrier's edge where she had been, a fraction of a second earlier. Mora fired from the opposite side while Riley was still in motion. This should have ended it. You cannot dodge in mid-movement. Basic physics says no. Riley dropped, let momentum carry her into a controlled fall, and the shot passed through the space where her torso had been. She rolled and came up behind a different barrier entirely. "She is reading our shots," Mora said, loud enough for me to hear, her skin shifting to surprised orange. "Impossible," Sella replied, but her voice carried doubt. "Adjust pattern. Delta." They changed tactics, firing in alternating rhythm to prevent prediction. It should have forced constant movement, worn Riley down, boxed her in. Riley changed tactics too. She stopped reacting like prey and started moving like the environment was part of her body. A barrier became a shield. A platform became a vault. The stick became something else in her hands. Not a joke, not a relic, but a tool with rules the twins did not understand. Sella fired. Riley deflected, angled just right, and the bolt ricocheted into a barrier behind her. Mora fired. Riley planted the stick and pole vaulted over a low obstacle, the shot passing beneath her. They fired together. Perfect synchronization, bolts converging from 2 angles, and Riley struck. The barrier beside her at a precise point, material designed to absorb plasma impacts, rang like a bell. The surface vibrated. Both shots hit the vibrating panel, scattered and dissipated into bright, harmless light. "What is she doing?" I heard myself say out loud. Winning, sir. Someone behind me answered. I did not turn to see who. The twins grew desperate. Their coordination started to crack, not because they were weak, but because they were thinking too much. They were trying to predict Riley instead of trusting their training. Riley went on the offensive. She closed distance on Mora first, moving in a zigzag that made targeting almost impossible. Mora fired 3 times, missed 3 times. Then Riley was inside her guard. The stick moved in a blur. 1 strike to Mora's wrist. Controlled, precise. The plasma pistol clattered to the floor. Mora stumbled back, clutching her wrist. Not broken, the medical sensors confirmed, but bruised enough to make a point. Sella saw her twin disarmed and did what any smart cadet would do. She tried to capitalize, fired at Riley's exposed back,